We will bring back an interview that I conducted with Alex Trebek a couple of years ago. Of course, the great game show host passing away over the weekend at the age of 80, pancreatic cancer. But we had him in studio in New York, and we thought, let's bring it back just to let you hear Alex, the person, and talking about how he got to this point. He's one of the toughest guys I've ever been around. He had knee surgery, the same knee surgery that I had, replacement knee, and he wanted to go out there and continue to do Jeopardy. And talking to a couple of people that are very familiar with Alex yesterday, and they just said, he was just a tough SOB. And when he went out there, he was great at what he did, loved what he did, and it showed. And we thought, let's bring it back to let you hear from Alex Trebek. I went back and listened to a voice message that I kept. Alex was very beneficial when I did Sports Jeopardy. That was on the Jeopardy set. And everything about it was the same. The people, the great people behind Jeopardy, the producers, executive producers, the people who were coming up with the questions there, the research department, wonderful. And I was nervous because you're on the Jeopardy set. And, we changed the background for a sports theme, but that's Alex's house there, Alex's podium there. And when I went out to Los Angeles to start shooting Sports Jeopardy, I would usually do 4 shows a day, and I would try to do 20 shows in a week. And then I'd come back out later, and we did 100 episodes of Sports Jeopardy. Alex calls me up in that Alex Trebek voice, and he said, let's go to dinner. And we went to dinner, and we went at because I had to get up early to do the radio show, and I think we went at 5 o'clock. And we're the only ones in the restaurant, all the way in the back. And he was a gentleman. He was graceful. There was kindness there. And he just said, look, ask me anything you want. If I can help you in any way to understand this transition. Now, keep in mind, there were already articles out there that I was being brought in to audition to replace Alex Trebek, which was not true, was not interested in doing that job. Loved that somebody would consider me for that, but I was never up for that job. And I told Alex, before we get started with dinner, I don't want your job. And he says, you're not getting it. And then we just laughed because I had to get it out of the way because I just never wanted him to think that I was brought in and I somehow wanted that job. But he gave me a call and I saved the voice message. And we emailed a few times back and forth. When I went through my health issues, he reached out to me, and I reached out to him when I knew that he was going through chemo. But God rest his soul, he was wonderful, the best that has ever done anything like that, hosting a game show. Every single night. And he looked great, he sounded great, and that's a big loss. That really is. Big loss, but I forever grateful. He gave me his Sharpie. Now, when you read the clues, you have to do it, and it's really difficult to do, and he made it look so easy. But you have to read the clue, and then you have to call on somebody. You cross out the question or that clue just so you don't lose it on your page because you only have a couple of seconds to, find who is buzzing in, and then go back, get the answer, go again. They go to a different category. And he said, here's my Sharpie. And I still have it. But, he was just, and he came out on one of the episodes with Sports Jeopardy. He said, look, I'd like to come out and read a clue. And we did final Sports Jeopardy, and he came out. And it was just, it was nice that he did it. And he drove in, probably an hour to get there and just to do that. And I would just forever grateful. It's pay it forward. And in my mind, I always think, how do I help the next person who wants to do this or the next group of people who want to do this? And he went out of his way to be ingratiating and let me know, hey, you're in good hands. And I was with the Jeopardy people. Harry Friedman and his staff, spectacular. But we'll play that interview. That'll be in the final hour of the show. Figured a good way to end up this Monday. Yes, Paul.
Jeopardy has announced that the final episode of Alex Trebek will be played on Christmas Day. And he was working as recently as 10 days before he passed away. He shot his final episodes on October 29th, 10 days before he passed. That's pretty tough stuff.
And I talked to somebody who worked on that episode, and they knew what was going on. They knew it. But, Alex didn't, Alex just plowed ahead. That's Alex. And I think they realized that was the last time they were going to film an episode of Jeopardy. But he didn't treat it that way because it's just not who he was.